Well, hello there, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. This is Pretty Girl Loves Trap content, and this is my recap / review for Bel-Air, the series premiere, which is episode 1 of season number 1, titled Dreams and Nightmares. Now, if you guys don't already know, this show is actually a reboot of some sorts. If you remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, if you don't remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it was a popular hit television show in the 90s starring Will Smith. And it pretty much was loosely based on his life, a young kid who got into some trouble. He's from West Philadelphia. He ends up moving with his rich relatives in Bel-Air, California. And it pretty much just goes through his struggles and his adjustments to the new environment. So, that was a comedy. And this reboot is actually more dramatized. And when I first found out about this, I was definitely intrigued. It definitely seemed like it's a story that could be told in this format. So I am definitely excited viewing this show and just seeing what this has to offer. Will Smith definitely has a lot to do with this reboot. So I'm definitely here for it, guys. So let's kind of get into the episode itself, okay? So it starts off with Will. Of course, I can't think of the actor's actual name, but the guy who is playing Will actually very much resembles him. There was a few scenes in this episode where I was like, wow, he really has some of Will Smith's mannerisms and facial expressions down pat. So the episode opens up and we hear What We Do by Freeway, okay? And Freeway is a Philly rapper, okay? So we are definitely giving Philly vibes. First off, first scene, they are setting the tone and letting you guys, hey, this dude is Philly all of the way, okay? Jill Scott Philly. Philly, State Property Philly, okay? All right, all of the Philly, okay? Maybe Rocky, maybe not Rocky. Maybe that was another side of town. We don't know, okay? We're just going to stick with the rappers for now, okay? So he wakes up and, he's getting his stuff together for school. He's trying to figure out what shoes he's trying to wear. And I'm like, is this what all guys do? Because I feel like as ladies, we actually know what we're going to wear. Okay. We don't have to go through and figure out, okay, what shoe we want to wear with our outfit. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Okay. So he gets dressed, he goes downstairs and greets his mother, and they proceed to eat breakfast, okay? And so he leaves out of, their home, and he's met by his best friend, and his name is Trace, okay? So you could tell they're tight, they're besties all the way. We're pretty much seeing their journey as friends throughout the day, and we start off them getting their graded papers, and we see he got an A on his paper, and that pretty much is showing and illustrating, that he is a great when it comes to academics, okay? And then we also see him as a star basketball player, and he actually hits the winning game shot. So not only is he smart, okay? He got the academics and the athletics all together, okay? So he seems very confident. He's the it boy in school. Like, he's just winning in life, period. All right. And we learn after the game, he's a D1 athlete. He has a scholarship, and they're all revved up, and they even start rapping Meek Mill's song, Dreams and Nightmares. That's a very popular song. If you guys YouTube it, you probably heard it. Okay. There has not been one club or not one event that I have not heard this song played, okay? And a lot of people know it by heart. I don't, but hey, good for them, all right? So we actually see Freeway, the rapper of the first song that was in the show. He actually plays the coach. He had a little cameo, so that was very cute, okay? And so we're seeing just the whole Philly culture, okay? We're seeing the bike riding and how they just really just move and swift with the bike riding over there. Bike rides dirt bike rides. Those are all just part of Philly, okay? It's very big there. So I love that they are illustrating what Philly is all about, okay? So we see Will, he's talking with his mom. They're walking down the street and they're discussing college. And he pretty much is telling her like, hey, I do not want to go to a college outside of Philly, okay? Philly is what I know, okay? I got Philly all up and through my bloodstream, okay? I am not trying to travel anywhere that is foreign to me. And so his mom is trying to comfort him and pretty much let him know like, hey, it's okay to, experience a different life somewhere, okay? And so she says, hey, I have to go to work. He says, okay, I'm going to hang out with Trace. And she tells him, hey, not to stay out too late, okay? So we see Trace and Will. They're having the old Philly cheesesteak debate, okay? Will, he's actually saying like, hey, mayonnaise should not, absolutely not go on a cheesesteak. And his friend begs to differ, but it's a cute little banter and cute how, people like their sandwiches, okay? And so they are actually approached by Darnell, okay? And Darnell seems to be, I wouldn't even say a classmate of theirs, but they definitely have some history. So apparently Darnell went to juvenile detention and it looks like he took a whole nother path in life. We see he's toting a gun. He looks like he's a drug dealer. So yeah, he definitely chose the opposite side of Will. And he's pretty much telling, Will like, hey, you ain't all that, okay? If I didn't get caught up with juvie, I would be a basketball star and not you. So they pretty much have a little banter about whose city it is. And he ends up pulling a gun out on Will and his friend. And so the whole block is pretty much looking. And yeah, Will is not happy about that. So we fast forward a few hours later and we see Will, he is puffing and the puffing all the way down the street, okay? And his best friend is having a hard time catching up with him. So apparently Will is still pissed about the interaction with Darnell. And he's pretty much telling his friend Trace like, hey, I need to protect my rep, okay? I cannot be looking out here looking out like a punk, okay? Like for real, the rep and my name and these Philly streets are all that is important to me. So his best friend is trying to tell him like, hey, whatever you're thinking about doing is not worth it. You have a bright future. Do not try to follow up with Darnell. But hey, of course, Will, he's very stubborn and he is not trying to listen to his friend. Okay. So his friend is pretty much saying like, hey, if you're not going to listen, he pretty much showed him a gun that he has in his book bag. Of course, Will is anti-gun. He's like, hey, we don't even need to have that. Like, put that away. Make sure it does not come out. So they proceed to go to the basketball court. Okay. It's nighttime. You see all the thugs and whatnot are at the court. And Will pretty much challenges Darnell to a duel. Okay. So Trace and Will against Darnell and whatever quote unquote scrub that he has with him. Okay. So y'all, we are introduced to Rashad. Okay. And he is Darnell's boss. Okay. So he's a mid-level drug dealer. All right. So he pretty much, has some clout in the neighborhood and he's like, hey, let's bet on this. Okay. So Will, if you win, I'm going to give you $2,000. Okay. And if you lose, you will work for me. I was like, whoa, bro. Those are very, very, very two different extremes here. Like, dude, these are some high stakes. But Will, he was like, okay, cool. I'm about it. So they proceed to play and Will is having a great game. And Will pretty much has the crossover of death. Okay. And he pretty much wins the game. And yeah, he broke Darnell's ankles all of the way. All right. So everybody is celebrating on happy. Of course, Darnell is salty and he has the ball in his hand. So he proceeds to throw it at Will's head. But it pretty much ricochets off Will's head and hits Darnell in the head. Okay. So of course, Darnell, he don't see who did it. And so meanwhile, we see Darnell, he's walking somewhere and Rashad is pissed, okay? Rashad was like, who threw this ball at me? Like, what's going on here? All right. And so he's getting a little rambunctious, okay? So Will was like, hey, dude, just calm down. It ain't that deep, blah, blah, blah. And Rashad was like, no, okay? I'm the neighborhood drug dealer, okay? I cannot be up in here letting people hit me in the head with these balls and whatnot. So Will, he does not take kindly to that, okay? So he ends up getting all of the courage, okay? And proceeds to punch Rashad in the face. And I was like, okay. So a whole big fight breaks out. Next thing we see, his friend is getting jumped, okay? He's getting jumped for dear God. Will, of course, he doesn't have enough manpower to get his friend, free. So he ends up going in the book bag and actually getting the gun. And he's pretty much shooting in the air at some fire shots and some warning shots. And so, of course, everyone's dispersed. And now we see Rashad, okay? And he ends up pulling the gun in Rashad's face. And Rashad was like, hey, you better use that thing, okay? Because if you don't, I'm going to be coming for that behind, okay? And so next thing we hear, the police, okay? It's funny how if you actually call them when you need help, they take 20, 30 minutes. But in this situation, of course, they right around the corner. Go figure, all right? So Will, he doesn't get away. Of course, he is hemmed up and gets arrested, as well as Rashad, okay? So they end up in jail, and Will is crying for dear God, okay? All of the tears are coming down his face. He is in need of a great big church hug at this point, okay? Because he is scared. So in the next cell, we see Rashad pretty much threatening him and telling him, hey, them tears are not going to work, my man, okay? You are going to get it when we get out. And so the next morning arrives, and Will wakes up, and he is released. So Rashad, he's like, bruh, you didn't even get to see the jail, the court, the judge at this point, okay? So what's going on here? So of course he thinks he's putting two and two together and assumes that Will snitches, okay? And I'm like, how do you think he snitched? Okay, he been in the cell all day, like all night, like when did he have the time? But we're just going to go with this narrative at this point, all right? But before he leaves Rashad's presence, okay, Rashad tells him to watch your back, bro, okay? So we see Will, he's riding home, as we think, with his mom. And of course, she looks stressed and disappointed. And he was pretty much like, hey, we're passing Philly. We're passing the downtown, man. What was going on with this exit, okay? And she was like, no, we're going to the airport. Your flight leaves in 45 minutes, sir. And he's like, what? So she tells him, hey, you're going to be living with your aunt and uncle in California until the heat dies down, okay? You pulled a gun on Rashad Denton, okay? And that is a death sentence. So we need to hide out, okay? Well, actually, you need to hide out. I'm going to stay here and hold it down, okay? Because I'm a thug. She didn't say that, but I guess she is, okay? She wasn't scared. And so, yeah, she tells him like, hey, you don't need to go to court or anything. Your uncle called some people and pulled some strings, so you are free to go. And I was like, dang. Always good to have a lawyer in your family, guys. So, of course, Will, he is hesitant, okay? He's like, hey, what about school? What about my friends? What about, basketball? Like, I'm leaving everything behind. I don't even know these relatives, but it's either find some new friends and a school and a new hobby because, yeah, you will be dead if you stay in Philly, Will. So, yeah, she made the good call. So, y'all, next we see Will, okay? He's riding in this classic old school, and we are introduced to Jazz, and it's much similar to, DJ Jazzy Jeff, okay? Jazz, he has on his shades, a cute little cool haircut, eclectic clothing, and he's low-key funny, so I'm liking this Jazz, y'all. So apparently he is his Uber, what have you. And yeah, they pull up to the Banks mansion. No, I should correct that, okay? The Banks estate, okay? This place has its own zip code. I'm sure they probably got their own Starbucks around the around the reservoir or somewhere. Because this place is humongous, okay? So they are immediately impressed. And of course, Will, he's like, my people's just banging over here like we are rich. But we are shortly met by Jeffrey, okay, he is the house manager, okay, and he is debonair. He looks like he is maybe some Jamaican descent, and yeah, I'm really liking Jeffrey. He seems a little mysterious, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has a deep dark secret or something. But yeah, Jeffrey seems cool for now, okay, but he also seems no nonsense, so I like that about him, okay. And so, Jeffrey, he pays off Jazz and Jazz leaves. And so we go inside of the house, which is a beautiful home, double stairwell. So yeah, they're making that shmoney. And so we are greeted by Aunt Viv, and the actress is very regal, just like the original Aunt Viv. So I am feeling that. And so she pretty much, welcomes him with warm arms and just very embracing. So Will notices, hey, we have people over, like, what's going on here? Okay. And she pretty much tells him, like, hey, we are having a fundraiser because your Uncle Phil is running for DA, which is district attorney. So he was like, okay, I want a party too. Okay. So she looked a little hesitant, but she was like, okay, so, go ahead and meet your cousin Hillary. Okay, so we see Hillary, and girl got it going on. Okay, she is a social media influencer, and she welcomes Will with warm arms as well. She is confident, sassy, and you can tell she is the it girl. Okay, so I am really digging Hillary at this point. Okay, the original Hillary in the sitcom, she was a little annoying, but I'm really feeling this Hillary. So yeah, Aunt Viv's like, Hillary, set Will up with some new clothes, okay? So I'm like, how you gonna find him some new clothes in time for this party before it ends? I'm all asking too many questions and whatnot. So she was like, hey, Carlton, he bought some clothes that is too big for him. So let me go here and hook you up with some of Carlton's clothes, okay? So we go into Carlton's room and then go into his closet, which is the size of most New York City apartments, okay? Like, they have hella space up in there, okay? And Hillary, she hooks him up with a nice pink little suit. He has his, nice Nikes to go with it. And I'm like, okay, Will, I am feeling the swagger, okay? So they proceed to enter the party, which is in their backyard. And Will, he is immediately impressed, okay, by the acreage that is going on there, okay? And so Will, he greets his Uncle Phil, and Uncle Phil, he seems a little intense, like, I don't know. I feel like he has a backstory that we need to dig into, all right? And he was like, hey, he's looking like a Rock Nation brunch over here. I was like, oh, that is so accurate, Will. You are not lying about that. But yeah, Will seems a little too loose for the stuffy attendants, okay? Because the prestigious, Lord, I can't talk. The prestigious people up in there are kind of judging Will a little bit. And I ain't feeling that. I don't like that. But yeah, Uncle Phil, I'm not feeling his attitude at this point, but hopefully he'll warm up in the future, all right? So, y'all, we are, introduced with Ashley, and much like the original Ashley, she is rambunctious, smart, and welcoming as well, so I'm definitely feeling that, okay? And so Will sees a girl, one of the very few African-American girls at the party, and her name is Lisa. So she introduced herself to Will, and they have a little vibe going on. I sensed some chemistry, and yeah, I could tell she was feeling his vibe and his swag. And, they're over there talking, and Carlton, he pulls up, and this Carlton, y'all, nothing like. I won't say nothing like, because they do share characteristics, but he is definitely a lot darker. Not necessarily in skin tone. I'm saying darker in spirit than the original Carlton, okay? He is no Alberto, all right? So in terms of Carlton, I would describe him as snarky, just very short, sarcastic. He's a smart ass. He's a prick. Like, yeah, he's all of those things, y'all. And so we sense there's some weird chemistry between Lisa and Carlton. There's a little weird vibe going on, but it's not addressed at that time, okay? So Carlton, talks to Will, and he was like, yeah, my parents said you were here for a better education. But yeah, hopefully later on we get to figure out why you're really here. I'm like, ooh, are you an investigator, Carlton? Like, why are you so nosy? Like, just calm down, bruh, okay? Yeah, it was kind of weird, y'all. So we see Uncle Phil, he has a speech, and pretty much just saying like, hey, I want to do better, okay? I am sick and tired of our African American young men just being locked up for profit, okay? We need to protect our youth. And I was like, yeah, power to the people, Uncle Phil. But Will, he was a little thrown off with this speech, okay? Because he's probably thinking like, bro, yeah, you are concerned about these African American youth that you're trying to protect from prison. You just got me out of prison. So, what is your motive here, Uncle? Like, let a brother know, okay? So after the party, Will and Unc, they proceeded to talk, and he was like, hey, I moved mountains for you to be here, bruh. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to show that you're a little more grateful in this situation, because Will, he's still feeling salty about the speech and what's going on with the situation. And he's telling him like, hey, am I here just for you to help you, with your campaign? Like, what's up? And so pretty much Unc was like, now that is not it, okay? If you were able to go back home and be alive, I would send you back, but I cannot, all right? So Uncle Phil pretty much preps Will on his quote unquote story, and which is similar to what Carlton stated, like, hey, I came here for a good education, okay? So Will, he calls his bestie, and because he saw like 18 missed calls from the boy, and I'm like, dang. I would have been nervous trying to, call him back, because that wouldn't have been, very comforting, because I would have thought something happened. But he pretty much tells Will like, hey, you have a bounty on your head, and old boy wants you dead, because he said that you are out here snitching, okay? You're being Master Splinter and ratting all over the place. But Will was like, no, my uncle did some lawyer, magic, and poof, I had to go. And so his best friend really seemed scared, very paranoid. And he's like, I think I'm next. So Will was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and fix things. So he calls Jazz to pick him up, and he tries to escape, okay? And of course, Jeffrey and Uncle Phil stop him because, they have all of the cameras, okay? Not just the Ring camera, okay? They have all of the technology in the cameras and peep what Will was trying to do. So they stop him. And Uncle Phil had another talk with Will. Was like, hey, we got you, okay? You can do anything in this world. You just got to trust this process. And yeah, all the potential is there, bro. So Uncle Phil, he expresses his concerns with Will to Aunt Viv, okay? He's like, hey, I'm running for DA. We have 3 other kids to worry about. Like, he's already causing all of these problems, okay? And of course, Vivian, she's a sweet, matronly woman that she is. She's trying to convince her husband, like, hey, this is a good idea. Like, I wouldn't know what to do if I would have let him go to Philly to die. So, y'all, it's stressful for everybody, okay? So we learn that Hillary, she's pretty much taking a gap year, okay? And she is an amazing cook, and she is cooking breakfast for everyone. I was like, ooh, girl, come over to my house, okay? I would love a nice little personal chef, okay? But it's the weekend, y'all. And so, of course, there's no structure. But yeah, Carlton has the schedule, okay? So Uncle Phil suggests Carlton go ahead and, show Will around. So they go to Bel-Air Academy because Carlton has the lacrosse practice, okay? And of course, Will's like, what I'm going to do? Carlton was like, do whatever you want to do. Just don't ruin anything and embarrass me, okay? But yeah, by Carlton's interaction with his classmates, it seems that he is popular, and yeah, he's that dude at his school, okay? And it ain't hard because there's a bunch of lames over there. But yeah, he is the popular prick on campus, all right? And so, he goes to practice, and from afar, Will, he sees Lisa, and she's at swim practice, and he goes over there and they start talking. And she was like, hey, you need to come up in here and swim with me. He was like, I don't swim, okay? I just take the showers, all right? I was like, well, yeah, Will, that is a darn shame, but I can't talk because I don't know how to swim my darn self. But y'all, that is on my bucket list, okay? Hold me to it. But we also learned that Lisa did confirm that she is Carlton's ex. And I'm like, okay, that confirms the weird vibe. I mean, we can kind of figure that out from the previous scene, okay? So, y'all, I must say, I love the musical selections of this show. Like, I really love it. Like, this show, I'm trying to think what kind of vibes it's giving me. It's giving me like an all-American meets Blackish type of vibe. Like, if you guys seen those two shows, please let me know if the mesh is accurate, okay? If All American and Blackish had a love child, okay? It may be a little bit of Grownish, a little bit. I haven't seen all of Grownish, but it kind of gives me those vibes, okay? So y'all, we see Bobby, we hear Bobby Shmurda, okay? We hear him, he has that popular song, Hot, N-I-G-G-A, okay? It's one of my faves. And yeah, we hearing it in the locker room. So Will was like, okay, it's turned up in here. So he realizes that, yeah, Carlton's the only student up here that is African American and everybody else is Caucasian. But everyone is singing the song and really heavily using the N-I-G-G-A word, okay? So Will was like, y'all need to stop all of this, okay? This is not, this is not it, okay? And so, of course, Will gets into it with Connor, and he is prick number one, okay? And he's probably, top dog at that school. And, Will was not backing down. He's like, y'all shouldn't be saying this, okay? And Connor was like, we can do whatever we want. So, of course, that starts the whole N-I-G-G-A debate. And Will pretty much told Carlton, if you're allowing this to happen, like, you a sellout. And, of course, Carlton, you could tell he kind of feels a certain way, that he may be a sellout. But, hey, you don't realize it until somebody points it out to you, okay? But, hey, y'all. Carlton, he was killing the shmoney dance, okay? The Shmurda dance. He was killing it, okay? I need to watch it again because, yeah, he had it down pat. I wonder how long it took for him to get it down pat because he got it, y'all. So we're back at the house, okay? And Carlton and Will, they're still arguing about this debate. And, yeah, Aunt Viv, she had to break it up because she was like, y'all need to learn how to get along, okay? Because Will, if you can patch it up and make amends with Carlton, that will equal trust. Therefore, that will equal some privilege, okay? So I'm going to need y'all to patch it up, okay? Because we can't have all this arguing up in here, okay? We don't need the neighbors to hear us, even though there's probably not a neighbor within 3 miles of their home. Anywho, so we see Will, he goes into Carlton's house. Well, let's just say house. I mean, that is kind of a Freudian slip because the size of his room is definitely a house, okay, y'all? So, there's some music playing, and yeah, Will walks in Carlton sniffing the Xanax. I was like, oh, Carlton, this what we doing? Yeah, this got dark real quick, y'all. I was like, I did not know we was going to be dealing with the drugs up in here, okay? But, Carlton was like, hey, you want to snitch on me? And Will was like, nah, I ain't no snitch. Okay, I am from Philly. We don't do the snitching, okay? And so Will, he devises a plan to have them pretend that they're cool because Will needs some time alone. He needs the privilege. So he says, hey, if you take me to this party that you're going to, which is, Connor's beach party, that will prove to Aunt Viv that we are cool. And then, that will allow you not to have to, babysit me. We can go our merry way going forward. Carlton agrees. And so, yeah, we go to this party and, they go their separate ways. But Lisa, she could sniff the swagger on Will and she approaches him and they go off and talk on a little beach or what have you. And yeah, we learned that she is on scholarship at Bel-Air Academy. Okay, so she is not one of these rich kids up in here. Okay, but she asked Will a question like, how well do you know Carlton and what he's been through? And I'm like, girl, been through? Like, what's going on here, Carlton? Like, we see you sniffing a Xanax. Like, is he supposed to be recovering? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to delve into that later on, okay? So we see Carlton sniffing again at the party, okay? And so his friend is telling him like, hey, yeah, I know you're stressed out about this breakup, but yeah, we know you still want Lisa. So he was pretty much saying like, hey, Lisa has moved on, all right? So next thing we see, Carlton sees Lisa and Will from afar and they are kissing. I'm like, dang, y'all moving fast. Whew, girl. So long story short, Carlton, he pushes Will in the pool. And remember, Will said he can't swim. So he proceeds to drown. And it seems like 30-foot pool, okay? And so your girl Lisa saves him, all right? And so once he gets out of the pool, he's catching his breath, y'all. And yeah, Will proceeds to punch Connor, okay? because Connor was running his mouth, and then we see Will looking at Carlton, and yeah, we hear a large groan, and yeah, it looks like he's about to punch Carlton, but the episode ends before that happens. So y'all, I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. I hope, you guys get the gist of this episode, but my main thoughts, I'm really digging this version of Fresh Prince. I'm really liking it. I really want to see where this goes. There can be a lot of little twists and turns that can come of this. But yeah, the production is great. The visuals, oh my God, the cinematography is great. The actors, I love the actors that they chose for each role. But if I were to give it a score, a rating, I would probably give it a good solid 8.5 or so. Yeah, it's pretty high. Like, I had no complaints. But yeah, it was definitely a great episode. So guys, drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Please like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. And I will see you guys for episode 2. Toodles.